Okay, Baruch Hashem, everyone. Welcome back to Breslov, Efrat. It's good to be back in Eretz HaKodesh. Well, thank you, Sasha. Thank you, everybody. It was such a beautiful Nate's Minyan today. And Baruch Hashem, we're at Shira David, and the learning is sponsored this week by David Jerome and his family because of the birth of his daughter, the beautiful daughter, Nachal Libi. And she should grow up to be mamash, a big herrlich yid. Wow. Unbelievable. It's such a beautiful family. That she's only see Yiddish and Nachas from her and from everyone and all the Klai all together. Amen. All right, now, so let's, we're going to return back to our lesson in Likutei Halachas, Hilchas, Netilas, Yadayim, Shachris, and we're in Daled. And today we're up to letter Ches. Okay, Ches 8. Okay, so we're again, these teachings are based on Torah Samach Hey in Likutei Maran, and we went through the lesson, right? I hope everyone remembers. It's been a little while, right? Remember we talked about. Now we talked about when we close when we have a problem, right? When we feel some kind of pain or something, we instinctively close our eyes. We close our eyes, and we said when we close our eyes, we can close our eyes from this world, from this thing, and we can connect back to the Rabbeinu Shalom. So our seichel can, so to say, leave the mind, which is the kli for the seichel, and it can connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu during those few seconds, those few moments, and then it comes back, but it doesn't retain all of it, all the beauty that it just got when it's connected to the Rebbe Shalom. It only has a rishimu. There's a trace that's left. Now, and why is that? Because the mind can't accept such holiness. The mind is a kli. So now we're going to discuss now, and we said that we do that we said that also when we go to sleep. If we go to sleep the right way, we say Kriya Shema Lamita, and we do that, right? So that is also, we close our eyes from this world, and we trust in the Rabbeinu Shalom. So we get a Rishimu also. So now how, we're going to learn today a little bit how we can benefit by that Rishimu every morning via what we do anyway. So let's see, okay? So far so good? Okay. Okay, so tzitzis, all right? When we get up in the morning, what do? We say Maidani, we wash our hands. Then when we get dressed, we put on the tzitzis, right? Right? We put on the arba kanfas, right? The tzitzis. All right? And then those that, put them on, and we, just to go over the halacha, right? Many say that they, you put on the tzitzis, and when you put them on, you have in mind that you'll when you make the bracha on the talis, those that wear a talis, so that bracha on the talis should pater the mitzvah of the tzitzis, right? Okay, others say different. Everyone does based on what they're thinking, but that's how I do it, and that's how I think the majority of people do it. So you put on your tzitzis now, and that's a tikkun for levushin. That's the tikkun for our garments. That's the tikkun for all of our garments. Our real garments are the tzitzis and the tefillin. That's the real garments. Like I told you once, I was I was in Florida, and I was by a beautiful in North Miami in a beautiful shul there. There's a Kal Hasidim. It's a beautiful little shtibel there. Many people, unbelievable. And I came there one morning early. And I saw there was an Alter Yid, there was an old Jew that was sitting, and I always like to watch, older Yidden to see what they do. And I was watching, he was making his brachas, and when he came to Malbish Harumim, right, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu clothes the naked, so he was kissing his tzitzis and his tefillin. Like this, he was kissing the ritzuot from the tzitzis, from the tefillin, and he was kissing his tzitzis for about 3 minutes, back and forth. And Mama said, it helped me to realize that because he recognized that the real garments, those are the real garments. We think we go buy a nice suit and we have this and that, that's our garment, but those are not our real garments. Our real garments are the tzitzis and the tefillin. So that was an amazing thing. That's a tikkun for the levushin, okay? So now, sheheim bechinas hakelim shel hamoichin. So let's see now. So the mind, we said, is the kli for the mayach, for the seichel, for the intellect, from the Rishimu, right? So now what we're saying here is that the levush, and that's the levush, so to say, that's the levush for the seichel. You understand the connection here? The mind is the levush, the seichel sits inside it. The same way you have a garment, the body goes in the garment, so too the seichel goes into the mind. Make sense? Yeah? No, it's still early in the morning that we got? Okay. Ki tzrichen tchila l'saken l'zachech me'oida es ha'kelim she'ema levushim k'dei she'yuchlu l'kabel es ha'zricha shel ha'reshimo me'abito el ha'ein soy. Right? Because first, we have to first clean up the mind. In other words, we want to get this, the Rishimu from that zrichas of the maya, from that beautiful thing, the beautiful things that we get when we have that connection with the Rebbeinu Shalom, when we bring back the Rishimu. So now you want to be able to accept it. You want to be able to accept it. So how are you going to be able to accept it? You have to clean up the mind. You have to make the mind prepared. You have to prepare the mind. So how do you do that? It's reminding us when we put on the tzitzit that we have the levushim. That's the main levush. So we recognize that we have to clean up also our mind. We have to clean up our minds to be able to accept the Rishimu.
So the tzitzit helps to clean up the mind.
The tzitzit is the levush. So in other words, that's the connection. We can remind ourselves that the same way I'm putting on the levush on my guf, and then we're going to see a little bit more. The Rebbe Nassan is going to explain to us that. But I just don't understand. The same way that the tzitzit is the garment for the guf, the mayach is the garment for the seichel. Okay? Got it? So far? Okay. V'loi sava, v'loi tishkach, meyem, so it shouldn't pass by me and I shouldn't forget it. In other words, I want to benefit by it. In other words, these things are happening every day anyway. I get this Rishimu every morning. So how can I tap into it? How do I benefit by it? It's happening anyway. Because we go to sleep, and we have that connection, and the Shema goes up on high, right? And we have that connection. But then when it comes back, how do I benefit by that? So ki kol echad Yisrael b'pnimius nafshay, every single Jew in the depths of his nefesh, right? Hu mishtaykek ubayir ma'oid la'Hashem yisbarach. Every single Jew is burning his desire to come close to the Rebbeinu Shalom inside, but it doesn't always manifest itself on the outside. In other words, there's a lot of things going on the inside, but it's deep inside, and it's hidden. So I don't necessarily see it, what's going on the outside. What's the example? Someone lives in his house, and there's a lot of beautiful things going on in the house. There's a lot of mitzvahs, a lot of Torah, but if the door's closed, you don't see it. So too in our lives. Jews, everyone has that beautiful burning desire for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but sometimes it's closed. It doesn't show out.
So it's remind me of Rabbi Nathan, with the first time you meet Rabbi Nachman.
Yeah.
When he comes out and he screams,
lesson 5. That's lesson 5 in Likutei Moharan. That was Rabbi. That's when the first time. Yeah. Reb Nosson came to Rabbi Nachman and he was having trouble davening. Could you believe this? Reb Nosson knew Torah, Kala Torah Kulai, and he was having trouble connecting to HaKadosh. He was stuck. He didn't feel that connection. And again, don't forget, we're learning this Torah based on Samachay. Also, the Rebbe taught us that we have to remember all of the words of our tefillah. Remember that? We have to remember all of the words. How are we doing with that? Huh? So in other words, when we start the Maida Ani and we start Shmaya Hashem Echad Shmaya Echad Aleinu, we're supposed to remember all of those words in between. And it's a beautiful flower arrangement. We bring them all together and make some beautiful, beautiful bouquets and arrangements. Okay. Machmas shebepnimius hu mistakel b'chol eis el atachlis hu or ein seif misham sharshay. Because why is that? Because the pnimius of every Jew, it is always looking and it knows where it came from. Mm-hmm. It knows where it came from. Tachas kisei hakavod, underneath the HaKadosh Baruch Hu's throne. That's where the neshamas are. The Zayah teaches us that. And every neshama comes from there. So the pnimius knows where it came from. It understands where it came from. It understands what it's connected to. It wants to connect. It wants to go back. That's what we say, Elekai Neshama Shenasata B'Tayri, Ata Brasa, Ata Yitzata, and the V'ata Meshamra B'Kirbi. We say, V'ata Meshamra B'Kirbi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu watches us and stays inside of us. Right? We say that every morning, right? Elekai Neshama, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Neshama wants to leave. The Neshama doesn't want to stay in the guf. What do I want to stay? No, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Misham. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, no, you stay there. You stay there. Unbelievable, because it's burning. It wants to leave. It wants to connect back to the Rebbeinu Shalom. It wants to go back. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching. No, you stay there. So it's a big Indian by Rabbi Nachman, right? You have to be a Baki Barotzi, Baki B'Shav. Does everyone know what that is? You have to know how to, when you're coming close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have to know how to do it without getting damaged, right? You understand your part and how far you can go. And then when you're returning from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when you have the Yerida, that's the Aliyah. When you have the Yerida, right, that's the Shav. When you have that Yerida, you have to know how to do that so you don't get in trouble, you don't get damaged, right? Shu bechinas v'shav. Ein hakelim shel hamoichin shein bechinas halavushim yicholim lekabel or azricha misham. Because the person is going through a yerida. So the mind is, so to say, closed. The mind is closed. It can't accept it. The mayach, the mind is closed. It can't accept this beauty, the trace that's coming back from the Rishimu. It can't accept it. Right? But it's thirsting. Right? The mind, it's always, but the nefesh is always thirsting for more. It wants more to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But it can't be quenched the thirst of the nefesh. It can't quench the thirst because the mind is closed. It's closed. Right? And that's why most people, Rabbi Nosson has explained us so well over here. That's why even though we go to sleep the right way and we get up in the morning and we do the program, but if we don't learn how to tap into it, we don't learn how to tap in to get the Rishimu, it's fleeting. It leaves. In other words, it's there. But how do you reel it in? How do you make it part of yourself? How do you benefit by it during the day? That's what we're learning. Okay? Now he says this. Now he says, V'al kein hayetzahara v'cheiloisav mizgarim b'Yisrael b'Yaiser machma sheroyin sheroitz livroyach l'chol pam el atachlis. So now the Yetzirah, right, and his armies, right, all of his henchmen that he has working with him, are constantly trying to attack the Jew, trying to attack him so he shouldn't feel the feeling that he wants to be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because we said that the neshama is always thirsting to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But now the Yetzirah, he doesn't like that. He doesn't want us to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what does he do? He's constantly coming with his, all of his, enticements and all of his things of this world to try to keep us away from connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You understand? Look at this. So you would think, so listen to this. This is fascinating. Perhaps it's the most fascinating thing. So you would think that the simple Jews, they have it so hard, but the tzaddikim have it so easy. It's so easy for them because they're tzaddikim. No, that's not the case. We know that the greater, everything is zelu mazeh oseh lekim, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes everything balanced in this world. Zel is lekim, right? Everything is equal. So if you have more kedusha, that means you have more of a Yetzirah. The smaller Yetzer Tov you have, the smaller Yetzirah you have. But the Gemara in Brachos talks about that, right? The Gemara says that by the tzaddikim, when we come to the next world, Mitzvah Hashem in the right time after 120, and then the tzaddik will see that his Yetzirah was mamash a big mountain. It was a big mountain. It was a big mountain, Mount Everest, or some big mountain, right? Har Chamon or something. A big tall mountain, very hard to climb up. But the Rasha will see that his Yetzirah was like, you have a glass of milk, and there's a little hair in there. That's what the Gemara brings the example. And how difficult is it to take the hair out? That was the Yetzer Hara of the Rasha. But he didn't know that. That's the thing. That's why we don't learn. We don't know these things. So we think that tzaddikim have it so easy. It's so easy for them. No, they're fighting more because they have a bigger Yetzer Hara. Because the Yetzer type goes up, the Yetzer Hara goes up also. People don't recognize it. They don't know the troubles of the tzaddikim. They don't understand that. That's it, right? Excellent. Right? He just said that if you're greater, Sacha has explained, if you're greater than your friend, then his Yetzer Hara is going to be greater. Don't think it's going to be smaller. No, the greater you are, the bigger the Yetzer Hara is. Unbelievable. Okay, now look. So he says now, so the Yetzer Hara is fighting them the most. Notice the Yetzer Hara will go to the tzaddik and say, hey, look, you're such a tzaddik anyway. Hey, what do you need this? You learned already Torah. You know everything. Well, leave him alone. The Yetzer Hara will come with all different kind of strategies, all kind of things. Mamish to the tzaddik. Unbelievable. Kamei Amar of Eseinu Zal. Hayna machmas bechinas kanal ki yesh beinyan zeh. Bechinas bittul v'staklis elataklis kama v'kama alofim v'ribei rivais bechinas madregas bein adam la'adam adam v'adam. That there are so many levels. There are myriads and myriads of levels between one person and the next when it comes to the Rishima and what they can benefit every morning when the Rishima comes back and the Neshama comes back to the mind. What it can benefit by there's unlimited levels, unlimited. V'afilu b'adam echad, even by ourselves, by me and you, even in ourselves. B'atzmai yesh kama shinuyim bein kol zman ve'es. There are so many changes. There's so many different things, even within ourselves. Things are changing. Because again, we said there's a baki v'rotzi, baki v'shav. As whatever the situation we are in our life, we're changing. And every time the situation is something else in our lives, it never stays the same. People think it's always the same and I'm the same. But no, we're always different. We're always changing. Ba'al Kain, now here we go. Now look at this. Now, Ba'al Kain, Tzitzis mitzvah rishayna ba'bayker. Now we can understand. Why is Tzitzis the first mitzvah of course we wash our hands, right? But the first thing a mitzvah min Torah, right? Really from the Torah, you don't have to wash your hands. That was instituted by Chazal, right? The first mitzvah of wearing the tzitzis, that's the first mitzvah that we actually do, right? That's the first mitzvah in our Torah, that we put on the tzitzis. Right away in the morning when I wake up from my sleep. That's when the neshama comes back, and that's when we have that connection, right? Just now, when I was sleeping, I was mevatel to the tachlis while I was asleep.
What tachlis?
Tachlis to get me connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Okay,
I was mevatel to the tachlis to HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Yeah, waking up is
a bit, right? Okay. Good, very good. Thank you, Shachar. Take if tzrichen lislabesh betzitzis ulahamchich ora tzitzis. So right away then, I have to connect myself. I have to put on the tzitzis, and I have to draw upon me the light of the tzitzis. Now we're going to see what is the light of the tzitzis. L'sakim bechinas halevushim shein bechinas hakelim. Because then again, the tzitzis is the levush that's on the body, which is connected to the kli of the mayach, where the seichel rests. Okay. So in other words, while I get up in the morning and we're so tired, right? But when we try to think in the morning, what do we say? Hashem, you gave me back my neshama. Where was it? It was by the tachlis. It was mevatel to the tachlis. That's where my neshama just was, and you gave me back my neshama. Unbelievable. Look at the words we're saying. Every morning we're doing this anyway. And that's the beauty. We're involved in these things anyway. So let's learn how to tap in and benefit by what we're doing anyway. Nothing new. We're not introducing, we put on the tzitzis, we do all of these things. Yeah, we have to just have the das.
Okay.
And what is the das we learned in the lessons before? Das is hashgacha pratis. Remember, everything that happens in our day is all hashgacha pratit. Everything that happens, anywhere we go, anything we meet, people we meet, anything we do is all hashgacha pratit. That's das. That's real das. To know that during the day. That's real das. Okay. Kidei sheyuchal lekabel or azricha shel reshima min habitl v'zeh bechinas reisem oisai, and that's what it means. Reisem oisai. What does it say by the tzitzis? What does it say by the tzitzis? Reisem oisai yuschatem. It's kol mitzvahs Hashem. When I see my tzitzis, what do we say in Kriya Shema, right? What do we say? The words we say. Reisem oisai. When I see those tzitzis, I'll remember all the mitzvahs of Hashem. Rav Nosson writes, how could you remember all the mitzvahs of Hashem with the tzitzis? He writes in Hilchos Tzitzis, we'll see that in Mitzvah Hashem. So he says, tzitzis have on it, lave, 32, right? Because you have 8 strings times 4 is 32, correct? Mm-hmm. Right? So 32 is lave. So he says, how do you have lave? What is lave? He says, Le'enei kol Yisrael is the end of the Torah. Le'enei kol Yisrael, that's the first word of the last word of the Torah, right? The first letter of the last word of the Torah. And we start with Bereshit. Leiv. Le'enei kol Yisrael, Bereshit, Leiv. So when you see the tzitzis, you see that. You remember the 32, and that's how you can remember all that. The whole Torah is included in these tzitzis. Fascinating. We'll see in Mitzvah Hashem. You ever know that? Learned that before, Sasha?
That one, no.
No.
But I was always thinking, I'm reading this, and I'm just staring at it. Like, okay.
How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that?
I'll just stare at it. Maybe I will remember all the mitzvahs.
No, so that's what Nosson is. He's going to help. What?
That brings it together. I didn't know that.
You say, Baruch Hashem. That's what we have to. That's what we're learning. Okay. Ki ora tzitzis b'shar sham nimshach bechinas histaklis el atachlis shemisham shayrish kol haTorah. Because the tzitzis, like we said, is the garment. Is the garment to help us remember the Torah. And when we see the tzitzis, and we're going to see about the techelet, right? The whole mitzvah of the tzitzis is to have the techelet, right? Right? We have to have the blue string, right? The techelet, right? The techelet, we're going to see in a minute, is tachlit, right? The same thing as tachlis. You see, okay, here we go. Watch this. Ki ora tzitzis b'shosha ninja b'chinas histaklis el hatachlis is staklis. What does istakla mean? To really look at deeply, right? To be mistakla means I look at it deeply. I don't just, what?
Same root.
Yeah. No, but istaklis means I look at them and I'm trying to connect to it. I'm trying to do something. Ela taklis misham shirish kol haTorah, like we said a moment ago, late, right? V'zeh bechinas tcheles shevetzitzis. That's the blue string in the tzitzis. Now, we're not getting into what tcheles is today. There's so many things. If it's tcheles, if it's not. We're just going to go with the Torah says, hapsil tcheles. So we're using the words of the Torah. Whether or not we have tcheles or not today, let's not get into. That's a very interesting conversation. Maybe we'll learn about it one time. But right now, we're just focusing on the words of the Torah, tcheles, okay? Ki tcheles bechinas hatachlis. Because tcheles is the aspect of tachlis, right? Hatachlis. Tcheles, tachlis, same letters, right? Tcheles is tachlis. So when I see the tcheles or the tzitzis, I can remember my tachlis. What's my purpose to be in this world? What am I doing here? What is my purpose of being in this world? Kamavaya, as it's explained. Oh, wow. When I see them, the main thing is the tcheles. Why the tcheles? You have to look so clearly at the tcheles. Shu bechinas hatachlis ki tcheles doima liyam. Right? The Gemara teaches us this, right? The tcheles is the same blue as the yamsuf, right? The yamsuf is blue, right? And then what else is blue? The sky is blue. And what else is blue? We're going to see is the Kisei HaKavod, right? Ad Kisei HaKavod. So when you see the Tchelis of the Tzitzis, it reminds you of the Yam Suf, how vast the Yam is. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes the Yam Suf, and there's a whole world in the Yam Suf that we have no idea what's going on there. Maybe a little today we have a little bit of understanding. But there's such a world going on in the Yam Suf that has nothing really to do with the rest of the world. Right? It's a world by itself. Right? Right? All the fish and all of the organ and all the plants and all of the things. It's Lebedik down there, right?
Mountain ranges. There's mountain ranges under there.
Mountains and everything. It's a whole world by itself. So when you see the Yam and you recognize, wow, look, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're taking care of everything in there. And then then it reminds you of the sky. And then you realize all of the worlds and all of the stars and all of the planets and galaxies and whatever else is out there, right? All that stuff, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is running all of that. Right? All of that. And to remember how the sun, HaKadosh Baruch Hu keeps it exactly where it has to be. It doesn't go off kilter just even a drop. If it would, either the earth would freeze or it would burn up, right? If the sun would get a little closer or a little further from the earth, it would be impossible to live here. How HaKadosh Baruch Hu keeps everything running so perfectly. Unbelievable. And then if you remember the skies, and you remember the Kisei HaKavod, right? You remember what's the Kisei HaKavod? That's what we said, where the neshama comes from. So that's the package, how you remember it now. So you put on, you get up in the morning, Maida'ani, right? And Shenashama, right? There was that, then the Shama that you gave me back, Shechazata B, right? And then I put on the Tzitzis, and I see the Tcheles, which reminds me of the Tachlis, which that's a tikkun for the Levushin, which is the Levushin of the mind, to remind me that the Tachlis, my purpose in this world. Make sense?
Beautiful.
I'm telling you, this is unbelievable. Every lesson, every time I learn this, it's so much more beautiful. Every time you see so much beauty that Rav Nosson put in the lessons, how he puts it together, it's just something special. Right? It's something amazing. The genius of the genius of Rav Nosson, Mamish, the genius.
Where he got the mochin from Rabbi Nachman.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, so let's see now. Here we go. Okay, so the Kisei HaKavod.
It was in a way the eyes of Rabbi Nachman.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah, and then he says now, Shesham Shoyre Kvoida Yizbarach, and that's where the kavod of HaKadosh Baruch Hu rests. Where in the Kisei HaKavod? That's where the kavod of HaKadosh. Okay, Bechinas Or Ein Sight. That's the unlimited light of the Rebbeinu Shalom Or Ein Sight. Shu Bechinas HaTachlis. That is the Tachlis. When we remember the Rebbeinu Shalom, how he takes care of everything, how he's running everything, how he's keeping everything perfectly done, I remind myself who I am, and I remind myself what I have to do in this world. What's my mission in this world? Right? We're learning about Avraham Avinu, right? And the 10 tests of Avraham Avinu, right? The Sfarim all say that really we have 10 tests also. We also have 10 tests. So to know when we're going through one of the tests in our lives, how to go through the test and pass it with flying colors. That's the question. That's the thing. So what do we say? What do we say in the Kriya Shema, right? What do we say? We shouldn't follow after the heart's desire. What the heart desires. We shouldn't go after that. Right? Don't after the eyes, where the eyes are taking me to some things that sometimes I'm not supposed to see things. And then the ayin rav, alev chaymed, and then the person does the avera, we said, right? And that's the idea. To reckon, so the Tzitzit is reminding me what's my tachlis? The tchelis is the tachlis. What is my tachlis in this world that I don't have to get involved and get sidetracked by all of the stuff of the world? So we said when we close our eyes, when we want to look at something so deeply, remember we had our optical lesson, remember Sasha, right? When you want to see something deeply, when you want to see something far away. So what do? You have to squint. you close your eyes a little bit. And when you do that, what are you doing actually? You're closing out the peripheral vision. You don't see the things on the side. You're focusing in on the point, right? That's what we're doing, right? Is that what when we squint, right? You said that's how they do it with your lenses.
Optics, yeah, that's how it works.
That's how it works, right? Unbelievable. They also learn
like the angle of view. That's all about it.
They learned this lesson also to make optics. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. Minatzad, I'll have li'olam hazeh, because I want to squint, I want to focus in on what's my tachlis. I don't want to get sidetracked by all of the things around me. I want to just stay focused. I have to focus my vision, what I'm seeing, on the tachlis alone. And every morning when we put on the tzitzis, after we came back from that reshima from when we went to sleep, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us back the neshama, it's helping us the tchelis, the tachlis, to remind me that I shouldn't get involved in the things of this world. And that's when we say Kriya Shema, we say, right? And as we're reminding ourselves, don't get involved in all of the things of the world, because then you won't get to your tachlis. How do you get to your tachlis? By looking focused on the Rishimu, focused on the Rabbeinu Shalom, focused on Torah, focused on Avodas Hashem, and listen to what your neshama is telling you. Listen. It's crying. It wants to connect. So connect to the neshama. Shu bechinas techelis. That's the techelis, like we said, is tachlis. V'ayzeh mamshichin or me'atachlis l'sakim bechinas al mavushim. And then I could fix up the levushim. This is a little bit deep stuff. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm trying to do this the best way we can. The levushim is the mind. Again, let's just remind, okay? The levushim is the mayach, which is the mind that accepts the seichel, the intellect. Right? So I have to prepare the kli. Always you need a kli, right? If it's raining outside and you want to collect the rain. So you could stand out there and hope to collect the rain, but if you don't do something, if you don't get a bucket, you don't get something to collect the rain, you won't collect the rain. You can hope all you want. So too with this. And we can hope, I want the reshima, I want it, but I got to do something. So what am I going to do? I put on my tzitzis. When I put on my tzitzis and I look at the strings and I remember the kol ha-Torah and I can remind myself, so then I can get to that can help me to get to my tachlis. You're still going to have work on it. It's still going to be hard. Because don't forget, we said the Yetzer Hara is going to still entice you. It's a battle. But at least we're learning how it works. We're learning how it works and how we can be successful in accomplishing what we have to accomplish. Right?
Becoming more aware.
Becoming more, it's awareness, yes, it's awareness, yes. So that way I can accept this Ara Rishima, that trace of that connection back to the Rabbeinu Shalom El HaTachlis. So I can connect it, and it can be, I can benefit by it during the day. Shemisham Kol HaTorah, that's where all the Torah is. It's Kol Mitzvahs Hashem. And when I see them, I'll remember, when I see the tzitzis, I'll remember all the mitzvahs of Hashem, ki kol ha-mitzvahs, she'im b'klal ha-Torah. Because all of the mitzvahs are klal, kol ha-Torah. The whole Torah is all about the mitzvahs, right? And it teaches us Darkei Hashem, the Darkei HaChaim, right? It teaches us how to be successful in life. That's what the Torah is. Nimshachem me'ara Rishimu, and it all comes from the Ara Rishimu. That's where it all connects back to. Do we have more time, guys? Or should we? 7:15. We have to stop.
I say 7:15.
Oh, Tanya. Oh, yeah, 7:15. Okay. Shkoyach, everybody.